Hello, hello. This is Mindset to Results, and today our guest is Seb Brantigan, who is co-founder of DBSS Digital. Hi, Seb.
Hey, Elena, thanks for having me on. Great to be here, and thanks for having me here.
You're welcome. Let's speak today about entrepreneurship. And I know that you started from being employee and now you're co-founder of the company. So what helped you to make that change? Because it is not the same mindset when people work for somebody and know that every month they will get paid and they know what to expect and their responsibility and tasks only within that role which they accomplish. And when you start entrepreneurship, it is like an ocean, yeah, ocean with opportunities, which also may ask you every day to make decisions, yes, to think big, to get different ideas. So tell us a little bit about your journey from one step to another step.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, a bit about my journey. It's definitely a lot to talk about there. I first started being interested in entrepreneurship when I was still in school. I was interested in starting a business when I was about 15, 16. Took me a lot of time to figure out what kind of business I wanted to start. So for a couple of years after I left school in ooh, I think it was 2009, 2010, something like that. So that's when I started looking into starting my business and what that really meant. So I finally then started my own business in 2017 officially. Unofficially, I was doing other things, trying things out, and my journey of being an entrepreneur was it took a very long time for it to become a profitable and full time endeavor. Um, and I had a lot of challenges along the way. I was struggling to find the funds to start my business. When I did find the funds to start my business, I didn't really know what to do or how to get that consistency in my business. Yeah, it took a long time for me to get to a point where I was able to do it full time and able to really do it stress free and follow my passion. Definitely a lot of bumps along the road. I'm definitely happy to get into what those are, but um, yeah, for a long time, I was really struggling with. So I knew I didn't want to work a 9 to 5 job. So I left my job in 2017, and that's when I got into entrepreneurship full time from that point. But I left school and I never went to university. I didn't have amazing qualifications. I had okay qualifications, but never anything, anything really substantial. So I was quite limited as to what job that I could do. So that's why I got into entrepreneurship. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and that seemed like a good path.
Yeah, so you had that entrepreneurship spirit in you. Yeah, so you, I think you didn't even want to study a lot and sit in these lessons and listen for teachers. You wanted to start doing what you really love to do. Yeah, and when did you find your passion that you wanted to help people with marketing automatization systems?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was back in 2017. So how that came about was, so for anyone who doesn't know, I'm a co-founder of a company called DBSS Digital. So we're a fully done for you digital marketing agency. So we help you to generate leads and we help you to convert and close those leads, help you to buy your time back. So that's in a nutshell what we do. Now, when I was first trying to figure out what business I wanted to run at the time, back in 2017 or around that time, I was doing a lot of posting on social media. I was doing a lot of networking, and I had people contact me to say that you're really good on social media. Can I hire you to help me out in my business, or can you do some consulting for us and our team? So that really got me into digital marketing. People were approaching me about social media. So initially, I was doing social media consultancy, and I just had a passion for helping people. And at the time, I didn't really feel like I was the expert, but actually I wasn't, a way, because I had people, as I say, approaching me and wanting to know um, how to get their social media improved, how to brand themselves, how to get more exposure and leads and obviously clients and sales from it. So it came around by accident. I think just by me putting myself out there and really trying to create a presence for myself, even though I didn't really know what I was trying to do. I was just being out there, being consistent, and putting myself out there as much as I could.
Yeah, great. So it is one of the important features of being entrepreneur to be consistent, and even if we don't know exactly how to do all the things, but being consistently and doing what we know and learning all the time, we can improve and we can become better and better.
Yeah, exactly. And it's yeah, that's always the case. It's just showing up every day is important. And even if you can make only one tiny improvement per day, if you make one tiny improvement per day over the course of a year, you've made 365 improvements. So it's not so much what you do, but what you do daily, and that's what a lot of my mentors in business taught me. It's just about that consistency. Most people don't do that, and they give up, and they're not consistent. It's not so much about being a superstar as such. It's more being a superstar in terms of showing up. And a perfect case of point. Some clients that have started working with me, some of them have been following me for years before they decide to reach out to me. I had this one guy I'm now working with who he was connected with me on social media for about 4 years, and it took 4 years to get him on as a client, from him reaching out to me to becoming a client. So it does take time. I think you have to be consistent. You have to always show up as much as you can. If you don't, then someone else will, or that person will join someone else, work with someone else, and they may work with someone else who's not as good as you, and they may pay that other person more money. So, by being consistent, by being omnipresent as much as you can, yeah, you never know what can happen.
Yeah, amazing attitude. What is success for you? What does it mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, success for me is, I think, having the control and the flexibility to do what you want, and being able to go on holiday, or buy something and not really worrying too much about money. Now, that's not to say that everyone should be a millionaire or money should be the only focus, but having enough time freedom and enough financial freedom to make the decisions you want to make. And that's not to say that, when I say financial decisions, I don't mean going out and buying a yacht just because it's cool. I mean being able to, let's say you have a family, having the financial ability to, go and buy a house, or go and buy stuff for that house that's beneficial for you and your family. So I'm not a materialistic guy necessarily, but success for me is having that control and that freedom where you choose the life that you want. I think we all have choices. Some have more choices than others, but we all have choices as to the life that we've got now is based on decisions we made, you know, years in the past. So if for some reason you're not where you want to be, look at your past decisions and past mindset. That was the case for me in my when I started my business. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just winging it basically. So it took me such a long time to really create some consistent results from it. And yeah, that just it's just been quite a journey, but that's that's where I got to with it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, I like your attitude. And you mentioned sometimes about decision making. Some people make decisions fast and some make late. Like your client, it took him 4 years to make decision to work with you. So what about you when it comes to make decision? Do you make it fast or you take time?
Yes, again, really good question. So for me, it does depend. For most of my decisions, I make them as quickly as I can. I'm not always the best at this. Sometimes it takes me for big decisions, it takes me a bit of time. But one thing I try and do is make the decision as quickly as possible. And what I try and do is, even down to small things, like if I go out to a restaurant, and I look at a menu, what I encourage myself to do, and I've got better at this over time, and there's still room for improvement. But when I go out to a restaurant, for example, and I look at the menu, I set myself a goal to decide what to have in 60 seconds or less. And it seems like a small minor thing, but making creating that mindset of making these quick decisions, even if they're about things like what you're going to eat that may not be as important as other decisions, but creating that mental muscle of making those micro decisions as quickly as possible, I think is really going to help. And I often think that we procrastinate, and that I've been guilty of this. I think that we procrastinate because of perceived fear and perceived rejection. And the problem is, if we take a long time to make a decision, we can lose out on opportunities. And so I think you have to make quick decisions as much as you can. It's not always that easy. And as I say, sometimes I don't always get it right, but I've got better at understanding the importance of making quick decisions. Um, because it's about moving forward, and sometimes it's not always the right decision. But sitting on something isn't always the best course of action. Sometimes you have to push forward and make a decision and take that risk.
Yeah, amazing. It so resonates with me. I think that you read the book of Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, because it is like I'm speaking with you, and it is for me like chapters of that book coming in my mind when it is said there also Napoleon Hill dedicated the whole chapter to decision. Yes, and he wrote that successful people make decisions fast and figure out on the process how to make that. And failures who take long to decide, maybe never decide, and also they, if they make decisions, they change it fast. And successful people, they make decisions fast, but they don't change them or change them very slow. Yeah, so yes, it is, you have amazing attitude and mindset. I would like to acknowledge that. Yes, and
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
yeah, really, it shows that you had very good mentors and coaches, and that you do your personal development all the time. Am I right?
Yeah, exactly. And initially when I started my business, my mentors were audiobooks or books like Think and Grow Rich. And I did eventually find some really good mentors. But if you don't have any mentors, then go and find, go and follow the people that are successful, even if you can't physically speak to them. Some of my mentors when I first started were not alive, and that's why I could only get them in book form or audio form, and also didn't have the money to invest in anything more than that anyway. So I think trying to surround yourself with the people you want to become, and how do they think. Look at someone who's successful, someone who's, let's say, running a seven-figure business and is doing really well. They have a certain way that they think to be able to produce the results they want. They got there by thinking differently. Obviously they got there by doing something differently, but they have to think differently before creating different actions. So you've got to be thinking again, what's the way they think? How do they arrive to that point? And going back to making the quick decisions. Not making a decision is also making a decision. Delaying is also making a decision as well. So making this quick decision is not always easy, but one example of a decision that or mistake I made was I was working with someone in my agency, and they just weren't quite the type of person I wanted in my team. So, and it took me a long time to make a decision to part ways with them. And I was making up scenarios in my head that if I tell them that we're not working together, like I thought it was going to be worse than what it was basically. But I had the conversation with them. And I said, look, this isn't quite working out for me. Maybe in the future, but and they took it really well. So, but I wasted time by procrastinating and waiting, and I could have just made the decision quicker. So I think that's a lesson for everyone as well. Is oftentimes we perceive fear, and oftentimes when we actually the fear is not non-existent when we actually overcome that fear. it's oftentimes not even there. So that should be a good lesson for everyone to make those quick decisions, and oftentimes the things you worry about never happen.
Yeah, exactly. I like this definition of fear. False evidence appears real. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
both,
like that.
yeah, both fear and faith is something that it doesn't exist yet, but we create it in our mind, and we always have the choice to go after fear and just convince ourselves about something that 99% will never happen, but it will hold us back. And this is how, even before we start the game, we lose, right? Because of this choice. Or we can choose the fear, or sorry, or we can choose the faith that is the opposite to the fear. And the faith helps us to see behind what is visible to our physical eyes, to physical view, and what is possible by see these images in our mind, because as we are highest form of creation, we have this marvelous mind to create our future in those images which we can hold.
Mm.
And then uh, by focusing on them and hold those images and give them our thoughts and energy, this is how everything start getting physical form, how it start manifesting. Yes, so you told that just people who want to be successful should follow and see what successful people do. And again, from that book, Think and Grow Rich, it is so obvious that Napoleon Hill interviewed so many billionaires, the most wealthy, like the wealthiest and the most successful people of his time. And he wrote this book as the result of those interviews. And if we look at those common features between all these successful people, it is the mindset, right? That is the certain mindset, the certain way of thinking that is so different from the masses. And that is why just few percent of people become successful, because they are willing to do what is not comfortable. They are willing to step into unknown in order to be able to have things which other people can't.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's yeah, again, that's exactly it. It's about thinking differently, and thinking on that next level. And those people who are successful, they even they struggle with their mindset sometimes, but the successful people, they surround themselves with other successful people and other people they want to be like. And I find that if you surround yourself with people that maybe are not at quite the level you want to be, then they can kind of bring you down. But if you surround yourself with successful people, they can, you know, rise you up. A lot of people that I spend time with are good friends, but they're also successful people. I mean, that's not the case for everyone. Obviously, I have friends who are not business owners, but a lot of my friends are, able to kind of lift me up because of that shared mindset, and they follow their passion. They have the ambition to back it up as well.
Yes, it is. There is a saying that show me your five friends and I will tell your future, right? So show me
Exactly.
spend your time with, because people who you spend time with, naturally we want to them to like us. Yes, like we want to be part of the company. So if those people are successful, this is what will motivate us to be also there in their company, that they will be interested to have us as friend, right? And vice versa. If we communicate with people who have low energy, who are not going to their passion, to their dreams, it will definitely will decrease our energy, right? And we have to be at the right frequency, we have to be at the right channel to attract everything what we want in our life. That is why it is always every day, it is the growth process, and nothing stays the
Mhm.
same.
100%. Yeah, and it's a journey. Oftentimes Okay, so sometimes you are going to have days where you're not feeling as positive, and your mindset isn't quite at the level you want it to be. So sometimes it is a battle, and I just think best thing you can do is surround yourself with positivity, with those right people that are at the mindset that you want to be at, whether they're business owners or not, doesn't matter. Like, surround yourself with positive people. um, and shut yourself off from negativity. I very rarely read the news unless it's local news that's relevant to me. I don't often read or listen to the news because it's just so overly negative. And if I want to have a positive day, filling it with negativity by choice is definitely not going to get me to where I need to be. And that's not to say there aren't negative things going on in the world, and of course I understand that, and there's some not very nice things happening in the world, and I sympathise. But equally, if I want to make a positive difference in the world, then being positive is a great way to do that. If I'm making myself negative, then how is it going to help anyone? How's it going to impact anyone? If I fill my day with positivity, I might make someone's day better. I might make someone smile today. I might help someone get results in their business, or the more positive I am, the more impactful I am, then the better everyone's going to be, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And if we really want to grow and achieve big goals, what I mean big is what we don't know how to achieve, but we know that we can do that and we go for that. And the only way to achieve that is to detach from these five senses and connect to our high mental faculties, such as intuition, imagination, perception, will. Yes, and using this also the reason, memory, and using these high mental faculties only can propel us to success. Because I liked how you said that it is our daily choice what we put our attention and what information we let in our mind. And I also like Jim Rohn quote how he said that stay the guard in the gate of your mind. And I think he just got it from the Bible. Yes, and we always have to be guards to filter the information which we let inside, because information which is in this material world, which we automatically receive from five our senses, which is ability to see, smell, taste, touch, hear, and if we don't filter it, this information through repetition goes to subconscious mind, and that's why how people don't understand why they depressed, why they anxious, why they don't want to do anything, why they don't dream. Yes, because they don't filter what inside. And our subconscious mind is like a soil. It is totally immoral. Whatever seed you put it will grow. So if we are not filtering information which comes inside and through repetition it gets impressed into our subconscious mind, this is what will happen. So we have the choice to see which seeds we want to grow, right? And we will be confident only and conscious about what we're growing in our subconscious mind. So it happens only when we get control over that process. Yes, because subconscious mind, unfortunately for many people now, is open like when they were infants. Yes, and many people continue living that way. When we were infants, yes, we couldn't choose because physically we were not able to do that, and all information was just going directly to subconscious mind, and this is how we became. And we thought that we are that person till we understood that we can become whoever we can and want. Yes, but unfortunately, many people who adult now they still live with open subconscious mind and just get everything there and have all these like chaotic thoughts and don't know what they want in life, what they want to achieve. And I liked how you said that we have daily choice, and really I want to acknowledge you how you look at things. Yes, I can see that you did a good job working with your mentors and from those books which you mentioned. Yes, yeah, like you are
Mhm.
a good how lead by example. Yes, to
Yeah,
implement things which you learn. I can say that.
appreciate that.
Yes, and also you talked about procrastination. Yes, like what helps you to not procrastinate? So first one, you told that it is fast decision making. Yes, like you think about something and you just decide quickly, just not to procrastinate. Anything else? Like what helps you to be focused and just do every day persistently what you have to do?
Yeah, great question. For me, it's cutting off as many distractions as possible. You know, one thing that I invested in recently on my desk here is let me get this right way around, a little timer, which if you turn it, then you could set it to a specific time and other things like when I am working, I'll switch off my phone, put it in flight mode, and just cut out any potential distractions. Um, and just being very clear, having a clear agenda of the day of, focusing on. Well, there's a great book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, which is basically, what is the one thing you can do today that's going to have the biggest impact. So if you're someone who's struggling like with procrastination, like I did, focus on just doing one massive task each day, or one cross one thing off your list. And if you can cross one thing off your list gradually, then you can grow and increase that. And I think it's just about prioritizing as well, looking at your to-do list. What's the priority on that to-do list? Like a lot of people generate a to-do list with lots of things on it. What's the one or two things on that list that if you cross them off today are going to make a big impact to your business or your life, whatever the case may be? So I think it's about prioritizing what you have to do, because there's always stuff to do. But if you prioritize and do the things that are going to have the biggest impact, then it's not always easy, but that's the best way I can describe. The best tips I can give is look at what's on your to-do list, and then other things that can help with procrastination is if you are genuinely too busy, and let's say you are a business owner, what are some of the things that you're procrastinating that you could just outsource? So that's been one of my great um, things that I would recommend if you are, or even if you're not a business owner, but if there is something you've been putting off, can you get someone to help you? Whether you hire someone or ask someone that you know to help you. Maybe it's a big task, or maybe it's just going to take a lot of time, and you need someone to help you get it started or to do it all for you. Especially if you're a business owner, if it's something that's going to take a lot of your time, you're better off outsourcing that anyway, especially if it's not important. Like for example, in my business, I have an accountant, so the accountant will do all my tax returns and everything like that. It's not something I get too involved in because it's something that I probably would procrastinate, and it's something I'm not very good at. So look at what things in your life are you procrastinating, and can you delegate some of it and get someone to help you?
Yeah, great. Yes, and also I think that this willingness to do what is uncomfortable also is important, because usually I like the book Brian Tracy, Eat the Frog, where he describes that it is important when we plan the day to do the tasks which are most efficient, like the and maybe most which we don't want to do, but we know that they are some tasks which will make the change, right? That will have good impact on other things. Because usually, if people just don't plan, they just go for tasks which easy for them, which they're comfortable. Yeah, and this like they choose subconsciously, just okay, I will do that later, I will do something small now, and this is how it goes from one day to another day. Yeah, so yes, I like how you said that prioritize and see which tasks will really make the change. Yeah, and also I like to plan from the evening for the next day. So in the evening I make the list of six that also I took from Atomic Habits, that the six tasks which I want to do next day. So in the morning when I wake up, I already know what I will do. So it helps to just get straight to the point and do activities which make a difference. Yeah, great. So, another question I wanted to ask you about leadership. You are co-founder of the company, and what leadership means for you, and what you will maybe share from your experience.
Yeah, great question. So, in terms of being a leader in your own business, I think it's about really leading by example. And, if you've got a small business, you may not need um, to get your team to buy into this as much. But as your company starts to grow and you get more people involved, it's important to have a set of values and things that you stand by in your business. And these can be quite basic. So, these could be things, think about why someone would work with you. What are some of the good qualities? Maybe you're someone who listens. Maybe you're someone who does a lot for your clients, and maybe you provide great service. Maybe you're very upfront, transparent. So think about those different values and get them into your team as best as you can. What one thing that you really want to do within your team in terms of being a leader is getting people to buy into the company itself rather than just being a part of it just for a source of income. Obviously, that's part of it, but if you can get them to buy into the vision of the business, where is the company going, and obviously as a leader, you need to incentivize them for being additionally involved as well. You need to reward them in some way, whether that's financially or other means. As you grow with people, you definitely want to make sure that they are incentivized, especially if they are, really providing a lot of solutions to problems and a lot of ideas. And so I think, yeah, being a leader is really crucial. Obviously being a leader in terms of inspiring positivity, but also being a leader in terms of if something's not right or there's a mistake, as a leader, you do need to approach that, and you need to make people aware of that. Too much in the past, I let a lot of things go that I should have pointed out. Um, and again, it was a procrastination thing. It was something out of fear, but by pointing out something that's not right, and feeding back to my team, um, it allows them to improve and do better next time. So that's something that I'm doing more of nowadays is definitely providing that constructive feedback, and being that leader, and being that voice of reason, I suppose, and encouraging them to. And another thing as well, being a leader is something that I do with my team. Is I'm happy to invest in them, so I'm happy to put my own money into their education, their training, and mentoring. Someone that I'm working with in my team, they wanted some training on writing copy for landing pages. So I actually gave them some training that I purchased and said, look, I bought this for you, so that you can understand how to write better copy. And that, I think that's one of the qualities of being a leader, is putting other people first. And I think if you invest in great people, then you can really do a lot of things. You can get to where you need to be faster. I spoke about outsourcing earlier, and that's a prime quality of that.
Yeah, amazing. And what about mindset? How do you see importance of the right mindset for people who work with you and come to work with in your company?
Yeah, it's a great question as well. I think mindset wise, again, it comes down to values. And I think, again, we're always going to have things happening in our lives where sometimes your mindset's not always at its peak performance. So I think just being as a leader, just being aware of maybe people in your team that if they need extra time with you, or you need to be there for them and make sure you show up for your team. Just having regular check-ins with them, not so much to not to have the check-ins to check that they're doing work as such, but just to have the check-ins to say, hey, this is what I aim to do at least once a week, unless I'm traveling or there's a good reason not to do it. Um, it's just to have those check-ins and just see if are you getting on okay? How is your workload? Are we not, are we overloading you, or just checking in with them, because if you don't do that and you are piling work on, and there's things going on you don't know about, basically, then all there's problems that they haven't had a chance to discuss with you, then that could create a lot of tension in the business. It could affect your results, could affect your clients. And that's also how people end up leaving a business as well. Is if you're not showing up for your team, then people feel a bit deserted. And so I think that's really, really important, really key.
Yeah, yeah, really. Great. Yes, I think that people who work with you very happy and grateful to have you, and with this amazing attitude. If that would be one thing that you would like to advise, maybe to people who start entrepreneurship and start following their passion and think about creating their company, or maybe already just in the beginning, what you would advise to them to become successful?
Yeah, great question. So I would say, definitely repeating what I said earlier is just, find people that are successful. I definitely think, following something that you're passionate about, something that wakes you up every morning, finding something that, because business is tough, following your passion's tough. I think finding something that you'll do day in, day out, um, that you're happy to do every day, I think is really, really important. Um, because if you are going to have tough times, you need to find it's got to be something that really drives you forward and really wakes you up in the morning, like I say. Otherwise, you're going to get to those tough times, and you might not be able to push through. If it's something that you really want to do, you'll be willing to push through the tough times and the rejection and the knockbacks. So I think that's really key, is just finding something that you really enjoy, something that sets the world on fire, and something you know that you feel passionate about, that you feel good about as well. So, if it's helping people, great. If it's just doing something on your own, great. If it's something that you would literally do for free, if you could, if money was no object, and you still do it for free, then that might be a good thing to start with.
Yeah, great. I really enjoy our conversation. Yes, and what you said, just find that inspiration. Yes, find something that will inspire you, that you don't need motivation from outside. Yes, and that you really love to do. And when you love to do, be the person who is difficult to replace. This is how the money comes, right? Like the exchange to the good which you do when you love to do that. So, and you want to be the best what you can do, right? So this is how you will be compensated by universe according to the law of compensation. Yes, yeah, it is so good that you found what you love to do. And thank you very much for sharing your experience, your story, and your knowledge with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for having me on, and thanks everyone for listening. If you want to find me, you can search for Seb Brantigan on Facebook, um, and feel free to add me as a friend. Send me a message, let me know you heard the podcast, and I'll be happy to connect with you on there and speak with you there too.
Yeah, definitely. We will put your connections or all the contacts in the description to this video. So people who resonated and loved what you shared today will contact you.
All right, fantastic. Sounds good. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you too. See you soon.